Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Some heavy new information dropped about Anthony Fauci and totally ignored by dominant media. Just a couple of quick things. We knew it came from that lab in Wuhan. They have a virology lab right there. And then they were so aggressive in pushing that it came not from that place, which just is kind of common sense. They got one right there, but it came from the weirdo delicatessen right down the Chinese delicatessen, which they call a wet market for some reason. Youth. That just sounds gross. But anyway, like I guess a fish market, a wet market, one of those things where there's a lot of meat outside, and it came from there. But it came from that other place. And a lot of us started to suspect it came from the Wuhan lab for virology, where they have a great big Communist Party presence and a great big military presence and a great big presence of American money. Because the NIH was cutting checks for gain-of-function research, which is you take an ordinary or terrible virus and then you enhance it. You make it deadlier. I don't know how they get doctors to do this, but they have doctors who do this stuff, American doctors who do this stuff. Aren't they supposed to take that Hippocratic oath, whatever that thing is called, the hippopotamus oath, as we used to say as kids? Do no harm. How can you go around inventing a new and, I guess, what do they call it? Novel. The novel virus, the coronavirus, the novel corona, COVID-22. You invent that. Why would you invent that? Why in the hell? And why would we pay for it to be invented? And this is the little thing that Fauci seized upon. Well, I did not. No, you are wrong, Senator Rand. You are wrong when you say that, and you do not know what you're talking about. No, actually, you see, you thought you were being cute, Fauci. The National Institute of Health funds a group that does gain-of-function research, or actually funds a group that seems legitimate, but that group writes another check. Because all money is fungible, right? I hate that word, but it's fungible somehow. All right, we send them money, and then they are now in a position to send the Wuhan lab money to do gain-of-function research. Fauci invented that gosh damn thing. He is responsible in part for creating the virus. And isn't it amazing, but actually not as amazing as it used to be, that something could come out so opposite what we were told? Now, this is happening all over the place, right? Trump is a threat to democracy. No, he's going to save it for us, for crying out loud. Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. We got to stop the weapons of mass destruction. No, there are no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. You know? And Joe Biden is a good, decent man. No, he's a depraved gangster. It's always the opposite. It's almost always the opposite, I've noticed. And you remember well, here it is. Here's the glory montage of Fauci. I remember at the time, I interviewed him once. I got to find that interview. I said, do we have to be worried about this? And he said, well, you have to be concerned, but you shouldn't be worried. Okay. Whatever. Let's see here. Where is my Fauci? Show after show, everybody. And it was part of an information campaign, really. Right? Like, this guy must be obeyed no matter what. Forget about your intelligence, conversation with your own doctor, your assessment of your own body. Listen to this guy. No mask, then you must wear a mask. There will be no vaccine, then yes, there is a vaccine, and you must take it immediately. And no questioning. Now we find out, it's kind of par for the course these days, where they tell you one thing and the opposite is true. Everything. They have been wrong about everything, including and especially this mutt. Cut 8, please. Fauci on parade.
The single most respected voice in the pandemic, It's Dr. Anthony Fauci.
The man who's become known as America's doctor.
The nation's top infectious disease expert, Anthony Fauci.
You are seen to many as a superhero.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, American hero and New York Yankee fan.
You've done so much for this country in terms of this crisis, so I really appreciate your insight.
Who better to give us answers that we can trust than Dr. Anthony Fauci?
The perfect person to answer our questions today. Joining us now, Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, appreciate your candor.
Dr. Fauci, appreciate the candor.
We appreciate your service to this country.
We appreciate your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Greatly appreciate your service to America.
Thank you for your 37 years of service, I believe, to 7 presidents, and thank you for your work over the past year.
The great news is you're sticking around in the Biden administration. We are so grateful to you, Dr. Fauci, for everything you do.
Thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you very much for everything that you do.
Thanks so much for the work that you do.
Thank you very much for the reassurance and, as always, for all of your public service. Thank you, Dr. Fauci.
Thank you for all your guidance this past year, and it's greatly appreciated.
Dr. Fauci, on behalf of all of our viewers here in the U.S. and around the world, thanks very much for doing what you're doing. Thanks very much for joining us. Please thank your entire team as well. We are all grateful.
Get your rest because we need you.
You are one of the busiest scientists in the country right now. It is an honor to have some of your time to help us understand what is going on. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, so we appreciate your time, sir.
We need people to continue to have faith in science. So thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you for being straight with us. Thank you for being able to come on. You will always have this show as a platform.
Sir, whenever you can be here, we'll have you. It's always an honor to have time with you. Thanks for being here.
It's good enough for you, sir. It's good enough for me and my family. So thank you, Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci, thank you for keeping it straight. Thank you for fighting the good fight.
I am sincerely appreciative that you are not walking away from this post. You make us smarter and safer and better every day. Thank you so much, Dr. Fauci.
Oh, dear. Oh, jeez. You know, why was it? Why was it that they fell in love? Who could fall in love with a guy like that? I mean, he's kind of a random guy, right? I don't know, Dr. Fauci. If you really looked him up, he mismanaged the AIDS crisis in the 1980s. He was public enemy number 1 for what we used to call the gay community, the gay world. Now it's LGBTQ, but he was seen as very slow in recognizing the threat of AIDS. He made him uncomfortable. He didn't want to go there for a long time. Dr. Fauci was not good. I remember very, very well. He was seen as a villain. But, if you hate Trump, so much is forgiven. They can look past almost anything. And actually anything. Look at George W. Bush. Hey, where the hell has he been? Huh? This is a time where I'll say this for Jeb Bush. Jeb has actually made some pro-Trump positions. And he may not like Trump, but he likes where Trump is coming from on issue after issue after issue. And Jeb has actually written and said things out loud, unlike his selfish jerk brother, George W. Up is down, down is up, right is wrong, wrong is right. Everything's backwards. Everything is backwards to the extent that, I do believe he's a criminal. All right. And I'm still going through the documentation, and some of this stuff is open to interpretation, but the trend is so consistent. Fauci saying one thing in public and saying nasty, horrible things in private, and basically kind of pushing the discussion in one direction. They didn't want anybody talking about that Wuhan lab because they were guilty of sending it money, and that lab is where they created this damn thing. Imagine that, the guy who started the virus. That's the guy who started the virus, in part. A world where Tina Peters, that beautiful, sweet, older lady, was thrown in the slammer. And you know what? Too many of us just stood by. Hey, we tweet about it. We might do a news segment on it. We may have people come in and bitch and moan about it. But what do we do about it? I'm talking about myself, really. It's something I've got to come to terms with and find out ways to, really create action in the world. Because less and less I am noticing, it's like, we'll shine a line on it, and then, people won't be able to walk away from it. They won't be able to deny it. Yes and no, because everything is noise these days. And if everything is making noise, if you are a bad actor and they start creating all kinds of noise about you, all you have to do is keep your head down, and the noise will die out, and it'll surround something else. And too often, one of the problems is for these people like the J6ers and others who are in trouble when they shouldn't be. Money. I mean, I don't know too much about her finances, but I think that she's not a rich person. And there are a lot of rich people out there who actually are also in trouble, and they have the resources and the means to be heard. I'm not saying heard on media, but I'm saying heard in the right places. And they can get relief, but too many of these people are not able to get relief. I'm thinking about Bill Stevenson. I'll have more on him later. The ex-husband of Jill. And I'm thinking about, here's Tina Peters. Tina Peters is out. I think she's not under home arrest either, right? She was granted clemency and by the governor. You never know where your friends are. The Democrat governor of Colorado, openly LGBTQ, said, you know what, this wasn't right, and signed a piece of paper, and now she's free, and she's on Real America's Voice talking about it. Tina Peters, remember her, right? The clerk in Colorado, who, oh my goodness gracious, how can you question our elections? She didn't even, believe it or not, she didn't even question the 2020 election. She's just in trouble for letting some guy inside after the election was over. I mean, after Joe Biden was in office. She's the clerk. She wanted some expert evaluation of the machines. And they arrested her and they threw her in jail. And that judge, got to find that guy. Cut 15, if you don't mind. Cut 15.
I've always said the mistake that the deep state made in going after me was that they panicked. Back in 2021, and when all this came out, that we had the evidence, they just went ballistic. Jenna Griswold went ape. And, I always say, if they had just not gone like that, the FBI raided me, they took my husband, they tried to take my house, they just kept going, they took me out of my office. And most people know all these things, but the people that stayed steadfast against, with me and against them just kept me going.
Well, that's beautiful. And I noticed that myself. I'm like, you know what? They're overreacting to our legitimate questions about the election. They're overreacting. What? It's suddenly not okay to question an election? It's not okay to question an election if you have something to hide, if you did something. It's kind of like Fauci, right? Fauci had something to hide. That man arranged for the funding, and he knew about it. And God bless Rand Paul. Now, I don't know. He's got a pardon. Fauci was clamoring for a pardon, and he got one on January 20th, the last day of Joe Biden. How does that work, huh? How does that work? Where is he right now? In elevating Fauci, that tape I played, they denigrated MAGA. They denigrated those of us who just had a question. Hey, if I'm young and healthy, maybe I don't need the vaccine. Maybe, just maybe not. And you heard what he said about us, right? And he's vicious. He looked down on us. Who are we? How can you? Our ideology, he said, was BS. Incredible what he got away with, but I don't think he has. He can't sleep well. Although then again, these guys are very, I don't know. When you had a role in killing hundreds of millions of people, you're just not built like a regular person. So maybe he has no conscience. 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. I can't believe it, but you know who's kind of making a comeback? It's Kamala Harris. As 2028 gets closer and closer and closer, for whatever reason, I don't, they call it the primary before the primary, they have a term for it, the summer primary, or there's like a soft primary before the actual primaries start, and that's happening right now. And who's on top and who's not? Gavin Newsom is really suffering right now. The questions about his finances and his wife's behavior are real. And I'm about to do a big number on him as well. So he's looking like damaged goods. Kamala Harris is, Marty Bashir, the Kentucky governor, is that who he is? He's a total zero. They're realizing that guy doesn't have a clue. They're realizing also Pete Buttigieg, he's never going to get any black people to vote for him, right? And you need that in the Democrat. So, they're really looking at some, Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Kamala. Now, fortunately for us, Kamala is still an idiot. Cut 10.
I really, truly believe this. We each have light inside of us. And we need to know that that is what inspires our hope as much as anything external to ourselves. And when we feel that and not allow an election or an individual to dampen that light, and instead let that light kind of carry us, in particular through moments of darkness, that we not only act on that hope, but we inspire that hope in each other. And in particular at this moment, it is so important that we not only have hope, but that we understand that that should be a verb.
Imagine President Trump talking like that. Can you imagine any adult person who's not a nursery school teacher talking like that? 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Back momentarily.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Those of you who know that I am very concerned and I'm in touch, or I was in touch before he went to jail, Bill Stevenson. Bill Stevenson, the ex-husband of Jill Biden, is in jail right now, accused of murder, but nothing about this case makes sense. I got a little bit of new information. And it indicates to me that it kind of confirms some of my initial reaction, suspicions that he's being railroaded. There have been 2 autopsies performed. You remember what happened, right? This guy came out against Joe Biden because Joe Biden had weaponized the Justice Department against him, and came out publicly against Joe Biden. Told the truth about how Joe met his wife, Jill, when she was married to him, and told the story throughout 2024 and even earlier, endorsed President Trump, and everything was beautiful. This guy, I talked to him in November, Bill, in November, and quite frankly, I told him that I was working on getting him a pardon from the Trump administration. The Trump administration was into it. And then December comes around and his wife is dead. And then 2 months later, he's charged with a murder. Well, the first autopsy came back with natural causes was her cause of death. Natural causes. Then somebody ordered a second autopsy. Now, who the hell would do that and why?
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, we are back, and I need some expertise on this whole Iran situation, okay? I am very confident. I think we're in a very good place. Let's first, very quickly, before we bring in General Blaine Holt, our favorite strategist, this is J.D. Vance about where things are right now. Go ahead, please. Cut 14.
And tell us what happened.
No, they didn't throw a wrench in the system. The thing with the Iranians, yes, they did threaten to walk out, or at least there were social media threats that they would walk out. But we were negotiating well past 1 a.m. yesterday, so they didn't walk out. And their technical team is still here in Bergenstock working with our technical team actually as we speak, though I imagine maybe some of them are taking a break to watch this news conference. But look, what we told the Iranians yesterday is when you guys engage in what us millennials might call trash talk, you can't expect the President of the United States not to respond and not to correct the record. So when they say things that aren't true, the President is going to respond to it. I'm going to respond to it. Americans are going to respond to it. When they make threats that aren't rooted in reality, they have to accept that the President of the United States is actually going to set the record straight. That's all that happened. So yes, there was a little bit of threatening, there was a little bit of whining, but at the end of the day, the talks continued and we made great progress.
So, what do we think? General Blaine Holt, again, the man who told us when this war would start, right down to the minute, and has been guiding us every step of the way. General, welcome back. How do you feel about where things are right now in these negotiations?
Oh, great to be with you. And what a good progress report over the weekend from our vice president. There's two things that really stand out to me. One, we're on the right track. I'm very confident and encouraged by what's happened so far, and especially amidst all of the complications and complexities that are present right now. The second thing is the vice president, in his response and remarks, was calm. He was calm. He was the man at the wheel, guiding this ship through this very, very difficult storm, and really set aside a lot of the bombastic hyperbolics, the social media stuff, the mainstream media pulling their hair out and all of that. And he just said, this is not easy. We're on track. Here's where we're at. And on the big three issues, we are moving down the tracks the right way, I believe. There could be some setbacks along the way, but diplomatic and military sausage making is never easy.
So, okay, I think you are right. Now, there are people from the left and the right and the rhinos especially saying that this is the worst thing that ever happened. Here is constant critic Chris Christie, cut 4, if you don't mind.
So now he has to make a deal because he feels the economy in the United States crumbling beneath him. And what's he do? He gives them the option of opening or closing the Strait of Hormuz based upon their interpretation of whether
they have to work it out with Oman.
Right. Us and Israel are complying. Us and Israel, not a party to the agreement. He gives them a $300 billion bribe offer. He unfreezes all of their assets. He gives them their oil profits back, which is $35 to $50 billion a year. On top of it, he doesn't prevent them from charging service fees to go through the strait, which JP Morgan says could be $60 to $90 billion a year. And now to end where you started, he hands over the negotiations to a naive and inexperienced vice president and two other guys who would be better buying you an office building in Alexandria than negotiating this. And let me say this, he's gone from America first to Iran first.
Wow. Number one, he misses the overall accomplishment, which is no nuclear. He also misses that President Trump, number one, this is not a giveaway and we're not unfreezing until things happen. But, President Trump has always made it clear he wants to make peace with our enemies. He said the North Koreans, hey, if you guys stop this nuclear, you could have resorts. He said the same thing to Gaza. So I feel like he's missing that component. But just respond to him if you don't mind. And let's face it, he's not the only one saying this kind of stuff.
No, I understand. But I am certainly happy that you led off with a rhino Republican and his attacks, because really this is what the Republicans do to themselves all the time. They're a circular firing squad. And what the rhinos have done is put themselves into a box by not backing up their president that is the leader of their party. And Chris Christie has never seen a microphone that he didn't like. The problem is he is bereft of macroeconomic knowledge. He betrayed himself in those opening remarks about the failing economy of the United States. As we're at the eve of interest rates going down and we're about to be on the renaissance of American manufacturing. Second thing, he is decrying that we're bribing Iran. No, nothing could be further from the truth. The $300 billion comes from the sovereign wealth funds of SABIC, of Saudi Arabia, and Mubadala and others in the Emirates, which will invest in infrastructure projects looking for a return on their money, which enmeshes the states, Gulf states, with Iran, if they meet their performance measures. And what does that do? That entangles them financially and economically, which diminishes the chance of further military actions down the road as we all move to this thing called the Abraham Accords. And the problem is that anytime you run afoul of somebody's favorite political rice bowl or donor, and I'll let it stand there in the air, you are going to get them off the bench and freaking out and letting themselves on fire, while the president at the same time is being a statesman and is doing something no president has ever done, addressing the real root causes of problems in the Middle East and getting after them a different way, in a demilitarized way. And another accomplishment we've already realized, in addition to the ships going through the straits, no nuclear threat. There's no 130,000 forces on the ground in Iran, with a lot of deaths on our part, and an endless war to pay for the next 20 years. So bravo, Mr. President. Rhinos, you better figure out sometime that you're going to hang in the midterms if you don't back your president.
So what is this thing about Hezbollah? I mean, okay, terror group in Lebanon. I believe Iran always said, hey, we have nothing to do with those guys, or at least gave themselves plausible deniability, or at least they deny it. Now they're saying, well, you know, if you guys pick on Hezbollah, everything's off. I mean, why is that suddenly relevant? I mean, it's another country. It's, I don't know. What's the tie-in?
Well, so here's something really brilliant. There is an orphan in the three-legged splintered stool in Iran right now, and the orphan's got arms. They're the IRGC. They're dying. They're waning. The last strike really hurt them. But it's their proxy. They're the ones that manage the Hezbollah proxy. And that proxy, Hezbollah, doesn't just root itself in southern Lebanon. They're global. They had links to Venezuela. That's how the cartels and the money laundering worked and linked up. Oh, what did our president do? He attacked the cartels first. So where we're going next is we're going to orphan Hezbollah, and the Iranians are actually going to help us do it, minus the IRGC, which they will need our help with. But what I really love that the vice president said today that a lot of people missed is we're encouraging a joint mission, the Lebanese army, the real Lebanese army, and the Israeli army. And if they get a proper rules of engagement that we can monitor in the United States, Hezbollah is a goner. And then we'll see Israel's security protected, and at the same time, we'll see sovereignty for the Lebanese people. And again, what is down the path from that? It's the Abraham Accords. And the people who are detractors of the president, the globalists, the City of London, the banksters, the financialists who have profited off of this misery for the last 50 years, they're the true losers in this, and they are going to lose. They will lose here.
All right. Strait of Hormuz. One thing about this, we know what it is, right? It's that little area that kind of links the Persian Gulf, the water, to the Indian Ocean. Very important little, checkpoint, chokehold, whatever. First of all, do they have the capacity? Do the Iranians technically have the ability to shut that thing down? I just want to because we're always hearing about that, how they shut it down. They're threatening to shut it down. Can they actually do that?
They can't shut it down, but all you have to do is get one ship with a mine, or get one ship with a speedboat or a drone. And then what you do then is you give the financialists, the Lloyds of London kids, the ability to say, oh, well, we're not going to insure anything because the war is still on and the straits are closed. And that's how that narrative works against the president. So what is Scott Bessent doing? He's drawing up the money laundering. They have checked Lloyds of London, and Lloyds is going to feel free to start writing insurance wrappers, or we're going to have American companies go in there and do it. Can we get a demining exercise going with the Iranians? Yes, we can. But again, the IRGC is going to have to get sunsetted here. But over the weekend, we saw 150 ships go through. Things are moving, and things are going to move in a more robust way as we help the Iranians get to the other side of this thing. There are Iranians we're helping, and there are those that we are absolutely looking to isolate. And that's where the complexities lie in this thing getting to the end game. But look, the Gulf states are all on board. Turkey wants this to go away. And Pakistan has done a marvelous job, quite frankly, working to make amends for what they did in the early days with getting nuclear technology into the Iranian hands in the first place, with AQ Khan and their nuclear tech. And here we have the Pakistanis helping facilitate these discussions to the end. So this is Monday. I'm very happy. Let's see where I'm at on Friday, but I think we're getting to a very good place.
You think it's going to take 60 days? It's going to take the whole, or will it be done before?
Nah, it'll be done before. I think we're looking at a couple of weeks, actually. It depends on what IRGC does and how they're able to activate what's left of Hezbollah. But as soon as we start seeing some picked up action against Hezbollah, then you're looking at the end of the end.
I want to just a couple of quick seconds of that J.D. Vance again, the vice president, who's kind of our point man here. Cut 14.
And tell us what happened.
No, they didn't throw a wrench in the system. The thing with the Iranians, yes, they did threaten to walk out, or at least there were social media threats that they would walk out. But we were negotiating well past 1 a.m. yesterday, so they didn't walk out. And
all right,
the technical team.
So the negotiations are continuing. Here's the thing that fascinates me about J.D. Vance. He's brilliant. I know he's up to the task. But when Christie says, well, he's inexperienced, I mean, he, on paper he is. He got to the Senate in 2022, was it? 2023. Yeah. Right. And in the middle of 2024, that was his first job in politics. He is nominated to be vice president of the United States. I think that's awesome, and I do think that he's up to it, but I guess he's vulnerable to that accusation. But I think he just has so much ability and intelligence that it doesn't matter what's on paper. You know, Lindsey Graham has been hanging around the Senate for 30 years. Who cares? This guy's got it. Other people don't. It's just kind of extraordinary, that a guy who just got there has the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he's wearing it well.
He's not only is he wearing it well, how duplicitous of Chris Christie, who lacks any kind of experience in this realm. None. Zero. Chris Christie, foreign policy experience, military experience, none. Economic experience, none. And yet he feels empowered and enthralled to throw rocks. Why? Because he's got a complicit media that'll let him do it and get away with it. They won't take him to task on his credentials. But guess what? There are those guys in the arena, and there are those guys who are sitting in the stands throwing rocks, and we know which is which. Wow. Well, not only that, he's not a prosecutor. He's like, wait, when I was a prosecutor, he was never really a prosecutor. He gave to George W. Bush, and they rewarded him with a political job, and the rest of it is just, hubris and posturing. Blaine Holt, you are amazing. You got the world all figured out. We so appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you. All right. To be continued, Blaine Holt, everybody, at the Irascible, _Irascible on X. You'll be the smartest person on your block, and we'll be right back. The phone number is 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. In a first, I think we have all women callers in the queue. All women. We got a couple of Marys. We got a couple of Susans. We got Rachel. We got, wow. Let's try Susan, the one in upstate. Hi.
Hi, Greg. I totally disagree that President Vance has not experience in this kind of negotiations. Let's not forget, he worked in venture capital, and that involves, mergers, acquisitions, probably hostile takeovers that requires hours and hours of negotiations that are probably.
He is real world expertise, but I'm saying on paper, in terms of politics, he's not that experienced. He was elected, his first job in politics, and by the way, I like this about him. And you're right, he did real world stuff and made real money and had to do high stakes things. But it's fascinating, and it's a testament to him. The last guy who rocketed to the vice presidency, and they marveled at this, was Richard Nixon. He gets elected to Congress in 1946. He gets elected to the Senate, I believe, in 1950. And then vice presidency, he gets chosen in 1952. And that was wow. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people who want to be president run for Congress first. They think, right, that's the way. But, Vance ran for Senate in 2022. Competitive election. He wins, and he gets sworn in January of 23. And by July of 24, he's the vice presidential nominee. That's crazy fast in terms of traditional politics, but, it might even be an advantage. I honestly don't have the details. I mean, you even just said yourself, I assume he did a lot of mergers and acquisitions. Venture capital sometimes don't do mergers and acquisitions. They just, they got a lot of capital and they venture that this company will be a good investment. So, no, I love the guy, and I think this is all an advantage, but it is extraordinary to me that he rocketed as quickly as he did. It's cool,
Absolutely. He's quick like Trump. too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got that muscle, from working and doing all these things. Look,
He's amazing. He's
book.
amazing. I know, Susan.
Yeah.
All right, go splash around in those Finger Lakes. I love them. Although I water skied on one of them a long time ago when I was a kid, I'm told. Mary, the one in upstate, Westchester, yes.
Yeah, Greg.
Oh, you just don't like this Iran deal at all. And you called me last week. Oh, President Trump threw Israel under the bus. I mean, what the hell do you want, Mary? I mean, there's no better friend to Israel than Donald Trump and the American government and military under him. What do you want us to do, for crying out loud? What should be done?
Well, that must be another Mary, because I didn't call you last week.
You sound very familiar to me. But what is it? What do you want?
Well, you can't just discount me out of the gate. I didn't call you last week.
Am I on to something? Maybe it was the week before. What do you have to say? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There are constitutional conservatives who love the country and love President Trump, who have legitimate concerns. And I feel that you and Blaine Holt and others are just blowing us off.
Well, what is the legitimate concern? I won't blow you off. Tell me what the legitimate concern is. And I don't think Blaine said that there are not legitimate concerns. All right. But I think those legitimate concerns have legitimate answers. But all right. No one's talking. What are your legitimate concerns?
Well, to begin with, the parties that they're including in these negotiations, the Saudis, the Qataris, and the Pakistanis, all of whom are our enemies. And actually no, you're wrong.
You are flat out wrong about that. Now welcome to 2026. It's not 1975 anymore. All right? You realize that we have military bases in all those countries you just mentioned. Well, except for Pakistan. We have a big one in Qatar. We have a big one in Saudi Arabia. We have these people arraigned, allied against. They can't stand Iran. I mean, I think that's a good thing. And I know it's a little bit distasteful. It's a little bit surprising to people that we are allies, military allies. A lot of money is flowing to and from. Like, why do you say Qatar is an enemy?
Because they're pouring billions into our colleges to overturn the American culture.
No, you know what I thought you were going to say? What I thought you were going to say, and this is where you would have had a point, is the connection between Qatar and Hamas, which has kept people up at night, all right? Totally up at night. I think you're thinking more of the Chinese influence, right? The Chinese influence. But look, I mean, these negotiations need a chaperone, right? They need a chaperone. And Qatar and Pakistan, I mean, all right, so what do you want? So, all right, fine. You got concerns about these people who are not our enemies being involved. So what do you propose?
This is the bottom line. I'm an ordinary citizen. I have to depend on people who have more knowledge than I do. I listen to people like Waleed Ferris. I listen to people like Jack Keane, who you should actually have on your show to get an alternate point of view.
You know something? You know what? I listen to everybody. All right. Jack Keane, if you haven't been noticed, is paid by Fox News. All right. He's paid by Fox News. And sometimes when you're paid, it has an impact on what you say. Sometimes, I'm not accusing Jack Keane of anything, but I know Rupert Murdoch is not as in love with Trump as you are. Right. So look, there's no nuclear and I want peace and we're getting closer. And that's how I feel. But I thank you, Mary. I don't think I got you confused, but I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?